All right, let's do this.
We have to.
Welcome into the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. I'm Nick Kypreos. He's Justin Bourne. He's a very dejected Sammy McKee. Derek Brandeo and Jake the Snake Schultz. Ready to give you our breakdown, our analysis of your Toronto Maple Leafs Leaf Edition hour.
Hi, guys.
We are live on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and Sportsnet 360 and Sportsnet Plus. The St. Louis Blues come in and spoil Craig Berube's revenge game, Sammy.
Oh, yeah. Spoiled it.
We thought that could give the Leafs enough juice to come off that horrible game against Columbus. But, JB, it didn't happen.
No. I'm really happy to start generally on the game last night. You know, this Leaf core has come back from embarrassing moments almost without fail with some vindication. And to go get beat by 4 by the St. Louis Blues on home ice last night in the Berube game, in the Woll game, people are not happy.
So they are new.
You know,
They are new
They're
Leafs.
new look Leafs.
It is so typical of this city, my hometown, born and raised here, and it just seems like nothing's changed. It's either it's the greatest in the world or it's let's blow the whole thing up. There's just nothing in between with this hockey club.
Are you here to be the voice of reason today?
I'm very interested in this.
I am.
How you're building this up.
I'm not building anything up. I'm not.
Stream of consciousness.
I just believe that there's something in the middle that the truth lies in. That's all.
Of course.
And
of course.
you know, I did mention to you earlier in the week, it's just 6 games. Can you just kind of relax a little bit here and
Look who you're talking to, pal.
let's see and yeah, those are bad losses. There's 2 bad losses this week. I get that, but are you ready to just blow it up?
Yeah, I know what I'm ready to blow up.
What?
PP1. I'm ready to blow that up.
Yeah.
If we're talking about blow it up, I'll blow that up. But
Okay, so we're gonna get into the power play. We'll get into it all. You want to start with you know, an overall theme off of what I just said, or do you want to go more game specific? We can go to Craig
Let's
Berube's.
talk about what we should talk about.
Okay, all right. So you're gonna do this. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'll follow up.
Everyone.
I'm not into the panic mode right now.
No one wants to talk about the power play. They want to talk about Matthews and Marner. They want to talk about this core and what's going on. You know, they have not. Matthews and Marner, I think, over the last 2 games are on for no goals for and 5 against. They've been brutal. They've been brutal. And even more, you know, there's plenty of things to be concerned about. It's the defensive errors that people are highlighting, the lack of positional commitment, the lack of details, which is my article is about details today. If you check out sportsnet.ca, and people are upset about it. The best players have not been good.
We suck.
I didn't say that. All right, Kip, what do you got?
No, I got nothing. You know, I will say this though, that you know, you come in, you want to paint the brush with Matthews and Marner, you know, and like I'll paint it just on Matthews. I'll just push Marner to a side right now, and I'll go like that guy last night for me. Like if I want to just go to the very top, not good enough, and I think he mentioned that in his comments after, but way too casual for me. Way too casual.
And so why are we pushing aside Marner?
Because there's only one guy that claims to be the second best player on the planet. There's only one guy that they blew up John Tavares' captaincy for. That guy's got a letter on his shirt. That's the guy that was supposed to come in here and have a new look to him and a different feel. And so far, nada. Feathers. So it's not Marner wearing the C. It's not Marner who's supposed to be running toe-to-toe with Connor McDavid.
Whenever he's going bad, though, we say, well, he's not Matthews. And when he's going good, it's like, well, isn't he Matthews? He ain't Matthews. And so far this year, my biggest concern is not just the two of them and their line and defensive issues. It's creating. Like Matthews is at least creating. So far on this season, like last night, Matthews must have had, I don't know, 8 chances, and yeah, they're not going in. But I mean, Marner's not getting opportunities.
He's not touching the puck.
He's not touching the puck.
Not getting the puck. They're not. Listen, again, they're not very good at passing the puck. Whether you're talking about 5-on-5 right now or that whole power play, but again, Matthews, number 1 centerman, 8 games, 2 assists. Go find me other star centermen and tell me that they've got 2 assists in 8 games.
Mm-hmm. I know Marner's your boy. I hate having to be.
It's not that he's my boy. It's the bigger picture for me is Matthews right now.
And you know what sucks, though, is I would love to do that, too. I would love to also point out some of Matthews' flaws. But if I do that, we're just going to sit here and crap on Matthews, and it's not going to be a fair representation.
But for 4 years, you crap on Marner. Why not crap on Matthews by himself?
Because to me, it's like a defense mechanism, so our show is representing.
TV, you watched them last night. They referred to the centerman. It's Matthews. Okay, the goal where he's in the corner with McCabe, the one that put the game kind of out of reach at 3-1.
Yeah.
It's a 1-on-2. Okay, he's in there and he's fishing for pucks.
Well, Marner's at center ice skating the other direction. He's at center when that happens. I don't care
where the other guys are. The puck is with you and McCabe. You can't sort it out. You won't take the man. You want to go in there and fish pucks out and look casual. You look ridiculous.
The point is, these guys, this season they're making a couple $1 million of one another, and the two of them, their line, they can't carry a single line right now. And they do by chances and opportunities and all that. I got individual scoring chances this year. Matthews, 38, Marner, 15. High danger chances, I got Matthews, 17, Marner, 2. This guy's supposed to be a 100-point guy who is one of the reasons they go, and they're not scoring. They're not getting anything accomplished out there. And so I get your point that Matthews has been the last 2 games terrible defensively. Terrible lack of detail, pinching in, swiping at pucks, not committed. It's the worst I've ever seen him play defensively. The worst, by far.
But why?
Number 1 centerman.
Yeah.
But why is that? Is it because the pressure of the sea?
Question.
Is it, a different coach, that's supposed to be more defensive minded, that he's trying to do too much offensively to impress a coach? I don't know why. And to be honest, I thought he was really good offensively last night. Defensively, awful, but still his dynamic self.
He had a big rush, I think, on the power play. And
lots of chances, Kip.
Yeah, I know. And they're chances that are usually individual efforts.
Okay.
Yeah. They're not, it's not a look of 5 guys on the ice. It's not even a look of 2 guys with Marner. It's just him going out there and trying to do something on his own and it's great when you're getting bounces and you got a little puck luck and all good goal scorers to get to 70 or 80 goals have to have those bounces.
Yeah, of course.
He's got no bounces. He had the open net and Ryan Suter's skate blade, not even looking. Parayko.
Yeah.
That usually goes in for that guy. So now all of a sudden you're not getting those bounces. Plus you're out there super casual. It's the best way I can describe him.
I do too, but
right?
hold on now.
He's playing like he dresses to the game, super casual.
And we don't adhere to dress codes.
What's crazy is this coach was supposed to be the guy that made Matthews. Everyone was like, he's been a great defensive centerman. This is going to make him a Selke guy. This is going to make him. That word said about Matthews, like Berube could help him get to. He got Selke votes last year. This guy's going to be put over the top. I've never seen him look worse in that department. And so
both of them. Marner's awful defensively too, and he's usually really good defensively.
Agreed. Another guy who gets Selke votes.
Both of them been awful defensively.
So what I'm trying to make sense of is Berube is supposed to be the motivator or the accountability guy, right? Last night, neither of those guys sit for one shift. Nylander turns one over, which we've seen him do high in the offensive zone, and a goal goes the other way. He doesn't sit for a shift. So he's not the accountability guy or the motivator or the details guy.
And unity, chemistry, great skill.
What is Berube going to be here?
It's a good question, but I think it's pretty well been stated that from the moment you hired him to training camp up until 2 games ago that he was going to be the guy that straightened a lot of this out. And what happened? Like, how do you go from, again, those extremes that I talked about at the top of the show? How do you look like a contending team for the Stanley Cup Monday and then 2 games later look like you're going to miss the playoffs?
Habits take time to break.
I don't know.
So they bought in. They were all in up until 2 games ago.
Yeah.
And what happened? They got tired of his dump and chase. They got tired of hitting. What happened?
That's an interesting idea. My article today does theorize that, in the early days, you're trying to impress your coach. You play the way he wants to, so he plays you. And then the lineup crystallizes and you see how he's going to use you. It's pretty clear to these guys, they're still going to play 22 minutes a night. They're still going to play power play 1. They're still getting all their cookies.
We have had that conversation. I've had that conversation.
And all
with
of a
you.
sudden, it's like first date's over.
I've used the term, everybody's on their best behavior.
Yeah.
But when you get to a point where you're not feeling great and you've already had a couple of bumps and bruises, can you do it when you're not feeling like you got your A game, or can you bring that every night?
Right.
Doesn't even have to equate to wins all the time, but can you be a sore loser and make teams pay the price if they're going to come in and get 2 points?
Just do your job.
We didn't question it against Tampa Bay, but
Or
now
the
we are
Rangers.
after 2 games. Do you want to play or do you not want to play? Or does the stars have to align for you? It have to feel good. Is the sun out? Is it cloudy? Like, what's the deal, guys? When do you show up and when do you not show up?
The analogy I used in my article was like Patrice Bergeron when he defended. He didn't defend by being physical and mean and on pucks. He was, like a good Sauce Gardner on the Jets. Yeah. No one throws at Sauce because he's on top of his guy and he's great.
Yeah.
And that's Bergeron. He was above his player. He was in front of the net. He didn't have to make plays because he was always in the right position. These guys don't seem to be willing right now to work hard to get in the right positions, and they're chasing the game. Rushes against the last 2 games have been staggering.
Can I theorize something else?
Yes.
That's been different in the last 2 games?
We got no answers. Hopefully you got something.
The best goalie in the league didn't play in the last 2 games.
That also a factor.
I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but, they were getting world-class goaltending in the first 2 games, and they didn't get it in the last 2 games.
They lost against Tampa Bay without Stolarz because he was really good.
He was good. But they had a big lead. The thing that sticks out to you in that Monday game against Tampa Bay was a 5-on-3 where he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
When it was still 4-1 and it was still a game, and he made a couple awesome saves, including that goal line one where he takes it off the goal line. But I'm not going to take away anything from that performance.
They got up 4-1 there.
They were dominant in that game.
Listen, you guys know how I felt about Woll going in. We talked about it before the game yesterday.
What'd you think watching him?
Not ready.
Not ready.
Mentally, physically, emotionally, that guy looked a wreck last night. It was not on. So what was it? 3 goals on
14, I think, at one
14?
point. 14 or 15, at one point.
Okay. Can we pull a goalie? Is that okay? Or is that allowed?
Well,
no, I'm serious.
No, I know you're serious. It's funny how everyone's so sensitive about that now. You used to just be like, not good enough.
Not good enough.
Who's up? But this is the
3
thing.
3 and 14, not good enough.
But so Berube's the accountability coach. I can't believe we didn't see something last night. We saw Draisaitl get benched earlier in the year for a couple of games or a couple of shifts anyway. I cannot believe Nylander went back over the boards after that high zone turn.
Great observation.
So is there you talk about impressing the coach with the guys and them playing hard to start and what we haven't seen in the last couple of games? Is there a worry from Berube that showing his true self before we hit the 10-game mark here with benchings and changing everything up, that he's worried that it could go the other way? Because I got to tell you, the change, I know we're a weather vane fan base, and like I am part of it. I am
You're the
fully,
vein,
There's the
pal.
understatement.
I am fully
the
aware.
year.
I am fully aware
Yeah.
of that. But even for us, like the change in tone from 11:15 on Monday night to where we're sitting here right now amongst the fan base, it's a 180.
Mhm.
Like they are. Like I looked at the practice lines being
you see
tweeted out
this,
by. So they tweeted out the lines today. David Alter or whatever tweeted out the lines with like just them the same. And I went through the mentions of that tweet. It's like, oh my God, people are so ready to hate this team.
Literally, it's just the lines, and the responses are like, "Yeah, sure, give it another shot." LOL. Yeah.
It's
This
the same
accountability
cast of
thing is
characters.
not true, and just like
Yes.
it's just the lines, and people are
Like
not happy.
people are looking for any reason to hate this group of guys.
But it really goes back to
Any reason.
the doubling down, the tripling down, the quadrupling
Yes,
down
it
of that
does.
core group.
Yeah.
What's
And-
fiving
Right.
down?
Quinn.
Can you quinting down?
Cinco down?
So
Joel Cinco.
what was the major change? Not that core group, but the coach. So
And then the coach has
Here-
done this the same lines. It's Matthews and Marner, and they're playing the same minutes, and they're playing the same
So-
everything.
I can see where they're coming from, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, okay, they get off to a decent start and the guys are playing hard and a huge win against Tampa Bay. And it's okay, maybe the coaches come in there and really did what they thought he could do. And that's changed the culture
the
inside the
culture.
room.
The second they get a whiff of a belief that the city is believing in them and whatever, that's when there's like a trap door beneath the fan base's feet. They
Yeah.
It really is
So-
remarkable.
It's
How-
Lucy and Charlie Brown of the football.
I'm not happy to hear the same lines. I'm not. Okay. And I didn't mention it the other day because, again, I'm thinking it's early here. He's maybe just sorting things out. But the Columbus game, I'm watching it. They're getting blown out. And I'm watching Marner, Matthews, and Nylander together.
Mhm.
And I'm
You're
like,
like Sheldon?
what is going on here?
I had the exact same thought, but I didn't want to.
Why are those three guys together? And I know the telecast, they were referencing being down 5-0 to Columbus and then the 6-5, remember the comeback? And it's like, the worst thing that could happen right now
Would be a comeback.
is a comeback. The worst thing. The last thing these guys need is to feel like they can go down 5-0 and never be out of a game.
We'll figure it out
And,
once
now,
we
and
try.
now we're back to outscoring your mistakes.
Yeah.
It's like they should have lost 12, and those guys should never have even seen a shift in the last 10 minutes.
Well, one thing that we had complained about during the Sheldon Keefe coaching era was that he tried to win every game with no willingness to zoom out on the season.
Yep.
It was always like, don't care if Nylander's been bad tonight. 2 minutes left. We're down 2. He's on the ice. Don't care if he's been the worst he's ever been. And we were saying at some point, the accountability is saying we might lose tonight, but I'm going to show these guys that we're not going to be okay with that kind of play. And here we are.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. So
Okay, let's go.
OEL's with Riley now. So that's
Let's go to Craig Berube, clip 1 on his overview of the game.
We made mistakes, bottom line, defensive mistakes. Lack of awareness on some of them. Just, for me, we gave them 3 goals. Shouldn't happen.
Yes. Okay.
all right. Defensive mistakes.
We saw
Yeah.
the
Why?
giveaways.
Why are those happening?
So, okay, hold on. Hold on.
Yeah.
What's better? And I'm not just talking from a show perspective. If you are just Joe in Etobicoke, that's a fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs, do you want Sheldon Keefe up there going on for a minute and a half talking about the breakdowns of the game and being like, this is why we did this is what happened here, this? Or do you want Craig Berube to just be like, listen, we were bad? What is a more
I want
desirable
an inkling
thing?
that he knows what's going on. You have to be able to identify the problems to know how to solve them. And I just want some sort of clue that he's like, here's why, we're working on some sort of system. There's got to be some reason. And if there's not some reason, then it's just guys aren't listening. Guys aren't. Maybe you want.
It just might be early, though. It still just might be too early for him to say something of substance.
Yeah.
It's
No,
my
you're
only.
right. You're right, though. You're right. If he came out and ripped him to pieces, we might be like 8 games in. That's a little early. So
Well,
maybe that's a good point.
There's got to be a bit of a fine line, though, because we'll see what happens Saturday night. They're going into a place where they're dying for a win, too, in Boston. And then you got to go play the hottest team in hockey right now in Winnipeg Monday night. He can't keep going to the well with just a few little sound bites, cliches. He's going to have to kind of have a bit of more of an explanation on things.
You think, eh? And you think he will? I don't think he will.
Yeah, I think in this town you gotta, and we've seen Rick talk it out in Vancouver over the transition of taking a very bad team and pushing them into a contending environment. You got in this market, in this country, you can't kind of blow it off every night on when there are performances like that.
Yeah.
So it's still early for me.
It's early for sure. And that has to be said.
Early.
But that last night did shake me a bit, if I'm being totally honest, because you do expect, and we've been used to the bounce backs, and we've been used to it in that spot where they come back and they play great, and they played the opposite of great, and it's the stars that don't look good. Like, when you're not getting production from Matthews and Marner and Tavares and Willie, who make up however much of your cap, you're not going to win a ton of games, and it's been 2 straight games of nothing from those guys, right? Actually, the opposite of, like, they're actively hurting you.
Right.
So, I don't know, man. I don't know. Last night was a shaker for me. I know it's early, but I'm a weather vane, and that one stung.
We got more Berube. We actually have an elaboration on those defensive issues. Do you want to do that on next?
Sure.
All right, let's have it.
Clip 2.
You know, we're just losing coverage when, we're not helping each other out in the coverage areas. You know what I mean? Like, too much time and space on some of them, instead of being physical and closing plays out. And the PK goal, where, our forwards in the wrong spot and they get it to the front of the net. It's just more, some of them are mental mistakes. And some of them, we got to be harder. We got to be more physical.
Does it come from just cheating, like your responsibilities, because maybe Matthews or Marner want to get their points back up?
Maybe. Yeah, I do think that there is a hedging to the offensive side of things right now instead of just like backing out and defending a little bit. We got quite a few Berube clips. So one of them is on being too cute, which to me is related to this. Can we go with the clip 7?
Well,
No.
He was asked by Zeiss about on the play that you were so mad about with Matthews. He asked him why, I almost called him Brian McCabe, why Jake McCabe did a through the legs pass below the red line. I don't know if you caught that, but
yeah, he was handcuffed. I thought it was actually a pretty good play to get a
he asked him
stick
about
on.
that, and then this was his response. So here you go.
A lot of that in these last 2 games for me is our whole team's getting a little cute. And, we just got to play direct. And, we don't need that kind of stuff.
Listen, cute's been around a while in this town.
Be a little too cute with it.
They've been cute. I'm trying to beat the cute out of this group. I don't know if you can de-cute this group. The core. You can't de-cute the core.
Habits take time.
Even that Nylander one.
8 years of habits.
Yeah. And that
8.
That Nylander one, remember he did this last year, Trent Frederick against the Boston Bruins, pokes it free, goes into breakaway and scores.
Yep.
Willie did the same thing in playoffs and scored. He shot it in the net in like a pretty big spot, if I recall. And it's like live by the sword, die by the sword with Willie. Live by the cute, die by the cute.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're ever going to de-cute them.
I don't like your odds of living through it, though.
You're probably
to win a Stanley Cup.
16 playoff wins.
Catch up over 2 months of must-win games in the playoffs. That doesn't equal out to being on the right side to win a Stanley Cup.
Death by cute.
It is
death cab for cute.
You have to. The game on the defensive side. You want analytics?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Play the percentages
Yeah.
on the right side of the puck defensively. And you can't have a 50-50 scenario. Willie will lose when it matters most.
And he
Play the
has.
right way.
Okay, so we've gone 25 minutes. We do have to mention the power play. Again.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to read your stat on here.
Yeah, please do.
The previous 41 games, last 41 games, this power play is 12.1%. That's 32nd in the NHL. How many teams in the league again?
32, I think.
Okay, not good.
15 for 124 in the last 40 games.
And the previous 41 games, 28.44%, fourth in the NHL. So they have gone from among the best to the worst.
It is. No, it's not only the worst. It's the worst in the Matthews, Nylander, Marner era.
Couldn't do worse with it.
It is the ugliest looking power play
They never get a
in
chance.
9 years.
They don't even get a sniff.
Brube, if you want to play his clip on the power play there, Derek.
Well, it's
They got some looks again tonight. They get looks, but it's still a little bit. They're not seeing it. You know what I mean? They're not really seeing it right now, and they'll get it going. We'll keep working at it, but at least we converged the net more tonight and got pucks there more tonight.
I asked a power play coach once, would you rather have a bunch of super skilled guys who used that ability to kind of freelance and figure it out, or a bunch of guys who did what you want them to do, up, over, down, the basics? And he said the latter. He would just rather have a plan that guys knew what they were doing and executed it, and guys you could trust to do it, rather than a bunch of skill trying to overthink it.
But if you don't have that ability to take your skill to a high level, then you're not. Then you're starting to play more of the percentages that I spoke of. So it's safer.
What do you mean? What's safer?
I'm just saying that when you have high skill like that, you're going to try things that normal guys would not
For
try.
sure. But you got to start with, I guess what I'm getting is you got to start with the bones
Yes.
of structure.
Yes.
We have a plan first,
Yes.
and then if something opens up, you
Yeah.
go, oh, I can go cross seam now.
Yeah, and it just doesn't see it's slow. It's just slow for me. I watch other power plays, and I watched St. Louis snapping the puck, and they got I don't even know what's in that lineup really. Who's their most skilled guy? Kyper?
Yeah. Who, by the way, fine
Neighbors.
night, but I don't.
Nice
Love
player.
Neighbors, he's
Neighbors
fun. I
jumped
love him
off
as a
the ice
player.
to me
Yeah,
last night.
for
I like
sure.
Neighbors.
But like that was, and they were snapping it around like they had $45 million in four guys.
Yeah.
You know who else was jumping off the page for me last night for them? That Broberg looks like a pretty good hockey player.
Tough night for the
Whoa.
Oilers. Watching Broberg light it up.
But
Anyways,
you gotta look like you know what you're doing before you get the puck and after you get the puck. And right now they're just slow for me and predictable.
If you and I have watched all 8 games in preseason, close as anyone, and if I gave you a pen and paper and said, Mark Savard clearly tells this team, here's the plan. What do you think the plan is? Let's see if it matches up with what Savard's plan actually is. I wouldn't have a clue personally where to start. Like, who are they trying to get a shot for? Where are they trying to drive it from? Do you know what's option one?
don't know.
What's their number one?
The play that happened the most right now is it ends up on Tavares' stick and he shovels one towards it, tries to drive to the right, jam play.
That's the play.
That happens
To me, I
so
see
much.
like a Matthews who's had solid possession for 4 seconds, wrister.
Yeah. A failed cross-ice pass.
How well's Mark Savard sleeping these days?
Not well.
You got $50 million on that power play.
Yeah.
He's got to figure something out too.
Yeah, you kind of got to go back and watch when they've been successful, what it's looked like. Where was it coming from when it was going in?
Can I ask you guys, if the Edmonton Oilers, who have had the best power play in the league for however many years, can have a slow start to the season, and their coach, who I guess maybe feels the heat a little bit more than Knobloch and the more than Berube does, and his crew, can be like, we're breaking this up, and we're going to try something different. Why can't they do that here? If they can do it, I wouldn't have said this if the literal Edmonton Oilers haven't considered it. Like, just try it at practice. They still are going to. They're still practicing it. It's like it doesn't work.
I get it.
It's 41 games, Kip. That they're 12%, 15 for 124.
Let's revisit the Edmonton Oilers power play after the weekend.
It just needs a wake-up call. That's all it is.
And we'll see what Connor decides. We had Adam Oates on yesterday on our national program. If you didn't catch it, go download it, find it on a podcast. He's right.
Put the best players out.
They're going to go out there anyways. And guess what? Connor ain't coming off for Knobloch. And if he wants Hyman on it, he's getting Hyman. That's the way it works.
None of them are
today,
McDavid,
Sammy.
buddy. They're not McDavid.
Who?
And it's a new coach. The whole thing, like me and Bunk talked about this last night, you sit up there and you preach accountability.
When Austin wants to go on, he's going to go on. When he wants to come off, he's going to come off.
Has it changed that much from when you played?
He owns it.
So it's just the same thing as last year. So it's just the same thing as always. So it just should have kept Sheldon.
I guess that's what I'm saying, Brooksy.
Is that what we're saying here?
It's a little early. It's a little early.
It's not a little early. It's 41 games. They've scored 15 power play goals in 41 games. 124.
It's early for Berube.
I do like OEL up there.
Sorry, John.
See,
you got to get John.
I like OEL.
Mm-hmm.
I like him a lot.
I don't like him that much.
I do.
Calm down.
Why?
Well,
so that guy wins a Stanley Cup, and he's a third pair guy, and he comes to your Toronto Maple Leafs and he becomes the number one defenseman on the team.
Yeah.
You're okay with that?
I mean, I think it says more about where the rest of the decor is than it does about him.
Okay.
But I think he's been good and earned his minutes.
But he's not, at his age right now, he's not a number one defenseman, and I'm not sure he's a number one quarterback for a contending team on a Stanley Cup.
I mean, so
he might be.
I mean, he's better than Riley up there.
I'm not saying he's not.
Yeah.
But
I get your point.
He's going to be, he's 33 years old. There's some weather there.
Yep.
It's too much for me to see OEL now carry all the freight back there.
On just specifically at all.
So I know Morgan Riley has his flaws, but you got to keep working with that guy. Okay? Take 100 shots a day with him at the blue line. He's $7.5 million. That guy has got to lift the level of his game up, or else this team's going nowhere.
He does get a bit of a pass for reasons not entirely clear.
He knows it too. He knows it.
So I just want to confirm on Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
Yes.
You don't like him?
No, I like him.
No,
I just don't like him to be now.
He's slotted too high.
He's the guy now. He's the man.
But I think lots of teams, their number one defenseman wouldn't be the power play quarterback. Because I'm saying this out of my mouth. Is that true?
If you look through the teams and say, draft the best power play quarterbacks in the NHL, you get pretty deep before you hit OEL. I think the contention Kip is making, excuse me if I'm putting words in your mouth, is that he's probably not a number one power play guy on a top 16 team, ideally.
Okay, that's fair.
Maybe he's the 23rd best power play option in the league. I don't know.
And maybe that's the issue between, I don't know. I just remember the most recent was Thomas Caberlet and McCabe.
The best power play guys for the Leafs?
Caberlet, McCabe, one-timer, bomb. I'll
remember those feather saucer passes from Caberlet to McCabe. I'd fall asleep to those. I think of those to fall asleep.
You know what's wild? You're talking about how they haven't tried something else or whatever. We've talked on the show about them not having a second line center. It's crazy they haven't asked Willie to do it after all the talk for a game. Has he had one game at center?
I don't think so.
Not a single one? Like we're just pulling our hair out. If only there were some other options. Like, should we see it?
For them not to even give it like
a minute,
a week or 2 weeks tells you how much
They don't believe he can do it.
They lack faith in Willie to go and be an up and down 200-foot guy.
Just give him a chance to fail and prove you're right.
That's why I hated what he said in preseason when he's like, well, you have to ask my old coach about that, why I didn't play center. And I was like, well, it's the first day of training camp. Like, can you see if your new coach likes you at center? And guess what? We didn't make it to the regular season. So, bit of a scheduling thing here, fellas. We were supposed to have Andy Brickley on to join us. Made a hole-in-one today and said he would rather not come on in his state. So, we're going to have to catch up with the Brick.
I got to tell you, let me say, so I respect that.
He bought
a couple of rounds
got
for
a couple of rounds.
We were
Good for
texting.
Andy. Congratulations, Andy.
We were texting, and I said, how many cocktails?
Gets you off our show.
I said, how many cocktails we talking? Several.
Let the record show. If you're ever a guest on our show and you make an ace, you're off the hook.
Yeah. So congrats to Andy, and we're gonna have to figure out what to talk about. For the next
buddy, we got
20 minutes.
Buddy,
I got pages.
Hey.
I could do 3 hours today, no problem on the Leafs.
You got some notes?
Yeah.
4 or
Got some
5.
notes?
I got things.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
okay. Oh, you be my guest, Kippy.
More on the three of us fixing the Leafs after 2 games after the break. Real Kyper and Bourne. All right, as we close out our Leaf edition, we will have Brian Lawton in, top of the hour, national program, as Doug McLean's in transition on his way back to Florida.
You guys heard it here first, Doug McLean's transition.
We will take text messages as well in the back half.
Yeah, lots of texts today. So,
Lots.
I mean, listen, always know when the temperature is up in Toronto when we are getting unsolicited takes. Like, some guys yelling at me, like multiple texts, like, tell Kyper you said Austin was great last night. Tell him you said that.
on the show.
I'm like, he's like, tell him. Well, anyways.
Text 590. Your questions, your opinions, whatever.
Okay, we can go. There's still so much to talk about.
Yes.
But want to talk a little bit about after the Columbus game. I came on our show and I said, I'm not as upset about like the game as I was about their kind of the response of owning a very miserable game.
Yeah.
Did we get a different feel last
to
night?
a cartoonish degree. Like, I mean, literally to a man, I think every player went out of their way to take individual ownership last night, which was very impressive.
Do you want to get a clip?
Yeah, let's do Matthews clip 1 and see if we can get a trend of these. Matthews clip 1, please. Uh-oh, maybe I screwed that up. I think it was on me, boys. Here, I'll put them in here.
All right.
All right. Do you want to go to Oliver Ekman-Larsson?
I don't know. I go to
any of them?
Go to Berube clip 3 on facing adversity.
We always want everything.
Well, we're going through some adversity right now, going to Columbus and got beat and then beat at home here tonight. We got to obviously look at the tape and, for me, we're giving up too many odd man rushes right now and we got to nip that in the butt. That's number one, because before that, the last 2 games we were pretty good in that area. We got to fix that. That's a problem right now. And, you're going to go through tough times like this during the year, and you got to find a way to dig out of it and get the guys better. We all got to be better, myself included. We all got to be better. So we'll get to the work tomorrow and get ready for Boston.
All right, so he starts with I got to be better, or we all got to be better, myself included.
And then now Matthews clip 1, Derek, if you could.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we just a bad game all around, up and down the lineup. Starts with me. But, yeah, I mean, just a number of things that obviously we didn't do good tonight.
And then Oliver Ekman-Larsson, too, please, if you would.
No, it's not good enough. Obviously coming out pretty flat in 2 games in a row. So I think that's got to be better. That's on us to prepare better. Make sure we're ready to go when the ref drops the puck.
So,
all right, it's a start.
Can I hypothesize that someone within the Leafs organization heard the show and then said, like, if we lose, let's go out and say all the things that Kyper said to say? Like, that's literally what...
I don't know about that.
Literally. Like, they said exactly... No, but like,
Thanks,
immediately.
Yeah.
The next game, they said exactly what, like we put a clip out on social about it.
I think it's more likely that they noticed too that there wasn't enough personal
It's
responsibility.
hilarious timing. You have to acknowledge.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
Hilarious timing.
But I mean, those are the right things to say.
Yeah.
That I personally need to be a better part of this.
And it's just, I don't think they've been in too many positions to have to do that over their careers.
No.
But listen, again, I know we talked a little bit about Austin Matthews, but right now he appears to me like he hasn't got a clue how to be a NHL captain.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether or not.
How could he? Like he just got thrown into it, right?
But he's still the same guy. It's just the same kind of thing. He's going to go out there and he's going to try to lead by scoring goals. And it's like the whole world just opened up with that C on your jersey. I'm sorry, but like there is a whole new world for you to look and act. And I know it's only 8 games in, but I really hope that there's someone working with him now to develop into a legitimate captain one day. I don't know if it's Brendan Shanahan. I don't know if it's Shane Doan. I don't know if you got to go find former captains. I don't know if it's Wendell Clark or Doug Gilmour. But someone needs to be working with this guy behind the scenes on ice, off ice, body language, comments, when to call a team meeting, all of it. Somebody's got to be helping him behind the scenes because he cannot do it by himself. He does not have those natural instincts.
You know, it's tough to tell, right? Like for me, I don't know what you're saying could be total nonsense. It could be bang on, Kip. I don't have a sense.
Why would it be nonsense?
Well, because I mean, they played 8 hockey games. He seems to be the same player he's been to me, and I think it's ridiculous.
But I don't want him the same.
Well, that to me is, what are you talking about? You want him to suddenly be inauthentic and suddenly start talking like Herb Brooks in the dressing room?
Yeah, but there has to be growth. There has to be something. Like who was it? Jacob Trouba. Remember the struggles when the Rangers, I don't know, last year maybe, and he ripped the helmet off and he threw it and he went off the ice? Like, they went on a heater after that. And you can sit there and say all you want. And I don't care if it's throwing a helmet.
Yeah.
I watched Matthew Nyes last night take a bit of a cross-check from neighbors and go right back at him, okay? That was more captain material last night out of a 22-year-old than I've seen out of anything out of Matthews this year, okay? And I would have told you a year and a half ago, Matthew Nyes wouldn't do that. And I'm not talking about going out there and grabbing somebody or putting him in a headlock. I'm talking about emotion. Why do I get emotion last night out of Matthew Nyes? I get no emotion out of Austin Matthews.
I actually, you're on point here. That's fair. And I think it's a reasonable criticism of not just Matthews, but all of the same guys that are here. Tavares was never an emotional leader either, was he?
And they took the C off of him because of it.
Well, I don't know if that's why it was, but sure.
Come on, JP.
Well, Kip,
what is the other reason why?
Because he plays 15 minutes a night and scores 40 points now. He's not the same guy he was. He's not as important to the team. And then same for Marner, same for Nylander. These are not it's not an emotional core. I agree that Nyes that's nice to see. Actually, if you go through some of the underlying numbers with the Leafs, he's been as good as any of them. Maybe the best. He might be the best Leaf this season. Creating a ton, showing some emotion, he hits people.
Go ahead. No. I was just going to say, if you are Austin Matthews, and I mentioned this, and when we were talking about this early, that you want it to be different. Like you want something to be different. Like we had this conversation, and when you're watching the captain of your team when you're quote unquote learning underneath Tavares and watching him, and you see the way he is, like. I don't know. This is kind of how I expected it to look, like Austin Matthews, but he just has the C on the chest.
Right.
And I don't know if that's good enough.
No, I think Kip's.
I don't know if it's good enough.
Point there.
So.
No, that is.
But is he ever gonna he's talked to the media so much
he has
over his
to.
career.
He's
done it so much that all these guys, every time they talk to the media, they do it so much. Marner included, Matthews included, Tavares included. They just want to say whatever the hell they want to say to get them out of there the fastest. Mm-hmm. None of them ever use the media. None of them ever say anything noteworthy ever. Like, they really don't. Is that going to change? Is Matthews, like, was that his quote-unquote captainly thing where he's like, it starts with me? Like, he's talking fast. He's trying to get through it like all of them are.
Why did they give him the C?
Because they want to sell more jerseys.
No, that's not right.
Okay.
He's the face of the team. That's why.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
That comes with major responsibilities, way more than just shooting a puck towards the net.
Mm-hmm.
All right, where else you want to go?
How about the goaltender? I know we kind of lightly touched on it there for a minute, but you were not in support of Woll going in. He didn't play great. Did you think, like none of them you'd say, hey, that's his fault, but you're allowed to say it's the NHL. I want to save.
Yeah. The neighbors shot.
One, yeah.
Short
to be
side.
honest, the one on the PK where I know he's alone with Holloway. Holloway's right on top of him. He paddled down or a poke check.
Austin
and Tanev. He's didn't know communicating.
Blocked a lot of shots. Now this one goes through.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So didn't see that one.
Yeah. So I'm not going to fault.
Did you get nervous when who fell into him?
Yeah, someone poked him like 9 seconds into the game, and it was like, oh, God.
And he had a little bit of a shake.
Shook out his leg.
He shook out his leg.
Oh, God. I mean, I'm not sure that he's feeling okay today. Maybe he did feel like he couldn't come out of the net for all the reasons we've said. Sometimes you have to play when you don't feel great. Maybe he's hurting today.
I don't know. You should probably, like, Kyper's point was good yesterday that you've had the best goalie in the league. You should probably play him.
I think we're going to see him on Saturday night. Let's listen to what his coach thought in clip 6 there, Derek. Thanks.
First game in a long time. I mean, he made some big saves, I thought, on some of those plays. But, I mean, the first one he was screened on. He couldn't see it. We let a guy stand right in front of him and screen him. We don't clear him out of the front of the net. It's a tough one. And then, the second goal, the guy's right on the doorstep all alone. On the PK.
He did make a couple good saves.
I would have saved him for Winnipeg. If he has the game he had last night against Winnipeg on the road against the hottest team in hockey, there's a little bit more forgiveness there.
It actually kind of reminds me of him trying to work his way back from injury last season. Remember, he came in, got filled in by Boston a couple times. I think back-to-back Saturdays or something, and it just never kind of got back.
Wasn't it like
the playoffs where he was remarkable when he was in?
We're going to see Saturday night, two teams. It could be it could be 0-0 going into the third.
Oh, you think so?
These are two
yeah.
not bad teams who are struggling.
Struggling. You know what you do? You retreat in your own. I don't care what happens past the red line. In our own zone.
You heard it here from Bet365. Bet the under.
five back. And don't you dare get beat to the net.
Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a real interesting test of how this team responds to Craig Berube.
Well, we kind of saw how they responded yesterday.
Yeah. Not a great first sign. There's going to be more information coming our way.
They lose Saturday, they're under 500, and we all go crazy.
Hey.
By the way, this Atlantic division may not be that great.
Yeah, listen, the nice part about this kind of rocky start is every other team's scuffling, too, other than the Panthers, who we don't think will probably win that
When was
division.
the last time the Leafs were out of a playoff spot?
I don't know, but that...
Besides waking up today.
That was something I did want to add.
Spot today?
They're not in the playoffs right now.
that is something I did want to add, is that the Leafs look like a team who think they can turn it on, right? Like they go down a few goals. They look like they think they can do it whenever they want to do it. And that leads to losing games like this, which leads to a tough first-round opponent.
Playoffs.
They need to mature at some point and play good against bad teams, but they just can't do it.
We shall see if that starts, JB, as early as Saturday night, Hockey Night in Canada.
Oh.
Toronto Maple Leafs, Boston Bruins.
Good thing we didn't have Brickley on. Holy smokes, boys. Do we have time? Quickly, Derek, how much time do we have?
Oh, fit it in.
Plymouth Golf Course, my home course, 20 miles south of Boston. Donald Ross, 15th hole, 190 yards, 5 rescue, hole-in-one, number 4.
Wow.
Number 4.
Holy.
Brian Lawton next. When we return, we go national on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Do not go away. Welcome back to the Real Kyper and Bourne Show as we go national. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. Seen across all Sportsnet.
Great to be not talking about the Leafs this hour. Looking forward to that.
This hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, is brought to you by Bet365. In a few minutes, we'll welcome in Brian Lawton. And, we'll
come on.
Like to spread it around the league. But I think
more Leafs.
I think the Leafs going from penthouse to outhouse is a pretty big story.
Buddy, that was world record. They hit terminal velocity off the CN Tower from the top to bottom.
We've given the Edmonton Oilers plenty of time as well about their slow start as well. So I think it's only fair that we figure a few things out maybe with Brian Lawton in a few minutes.
If there's anything that our Vancouver and Calgary markets would love to hear, it's a bunch of Toronto guys panicking about the Leafs 8 games in.
Misery.
Peeing down their own leg.
They love it.
Listen, if I know my friends out in Vancouver and Calgary, they love it.
This is the red meat. The Ottawa Senators, second in the Atlantic Division right now.
We'll take some text messages as well at text 590.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
You did.
You did. Text us, 590. We've already got 1 million unsolicited texts about the Leafs mostly. So text us some non-Leaf stuff so we can do that in the back half of the hour too.
Are the Sens for real?
Yeah.
They can score some goals.
Has Olmark played yet?
Do they need him?
Oh, he just gave him
eventually. They gave him a lot of money, yeah.
I would hope they need him.
You know, it's good. And I don't know if we're where we are on Boston and Toronto in that Atlantic Division, because alongside Tampa, I think we've kind of waited.
Look at this division. What a mess.
Toronto.
Oh, my God. I haven't looked at that yet.
Toronto, Boston, and the Leafs have owned this division.
Mm-hmm. Tampa, Boston.
Tampa, Boston,
yeah,
Toronto.
Tampa, Boston. And when does one of them fall off? Are we actually seeing?
The year for sure.
Is this the year Boston falls off? Or because they didn't treat free agency like they were ready to drop off?
No, they've got a pretty nice roster, a very good decor, a very good goaltender. There's no reason they should be bad. I don't think they're bad.
But you know what
playoff team.
You know what they look to me? Slow.
Yeah. That's troublesome.
And Lindholm's a good player. I don't know if our Calgary fans feel the same way, but you expect more out of him, more consistent. There's some nights when it just doesn't look like he has it.
You know, it's funny because I mentioned their decor is good. Hemps, Lindholm, McAvoy, Zadorov, Carlo, Witherspoon, Peak. But up front, it's pretty damn thin. I know they have that one line that's doing pretty good, but, Zaka and Poitras.
I was watching the Stars and Bruins as a flick back option with the Toronto Maple Leafs in those commercials and intermissions or whatever. Dallas is just way better. Bigger, faster, more good players. I know Dallas is one of the premier teams in the league, but Boston kind of fancies himself as that, I think.
Yep.
And there was just absolutely no comparison, in my opinion, between those two teams. So maybe this is the year maybe they suck for once. That'd be great. Oh, my God, wouldn't that make me happy?
I don't think that's happening. But
you don't think so?
I think they might be average.
Looking for a playoff spot, kind of, yeah. Okay.
Concerns on Brad Marchand?
Yeah, definitely. I have noticed a bit of a decline in his game, I would say, the last year or two. And the fact that he has 0 goals through 8 games, which is the longest streak to start his career. He has 1 year, he went 9 games, so he's almost there. It's definitely a concern. Top line with him, Lindholm, and Pasternak, not been good. Pasternak actually, I want to say he has 7 minor penalties through 8 games. So he's had a lot of time in the penalty box, which is not great. So the concerns are real for that top line, for sure.
So what do we get out of the Edmonton Oilers and their power play? We spoke in our first Leaf Edition hour about a struggling power play in Toronto, and yet it just seems like they're going to go to the well again with the same guys, whereas Knobloch went a little different on his approach, at least going into tonight.
But you sort of implied this in the first hour that okay, give it a sec. We'll see how long it takes till everyone's back there. I don't think it'll be long.
Okay, let's welcome in former general manager, president of the Tampa Bay Lightning, analyst, does it all, agent, Brian Lawton. Lots, how are you, pal? Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Kyper. Always happy to be on with both of you. Fine, gentlemen.
So beautiful view, Lots. Woo.
I want to get into Lots. I want to get into power plays and struggling ones, including Edmonton, including Toronto. We had Adam Oates, one of the best passers, one of the best power play guys in the history of the game. And he says, really, in his world, there isn't a number 2 power play. It is a number 1 with your guys, and that's basically it. Where are you on what a coach can do? Is in your world, is there a 1 and 2 power play?
Not really. I think Adam is closer to correct on that than anybody would ever imagine. Of course, when I played, I essentially was a number 2 power play guy. Certainly when I started out with the North Stars, a little bit more number 1 when I was playing with an expansion team in the San Jose Sharks. But there was definitely 2 power plays at that time. In today's world, we've just evolved. And the reality is that the top guys on most teams are eating up 80% of the power play, especially if we're talking about a Toronto or even more specifically in Edmonton, where the numbers back that up all year long. They do use another power play, but generally the game would have to be out of hand one way or the other. The interesting thing is that in Edmonton, we have seen some changing of that power play. Zach Hyman, who just has been really cold for him. He was super hot last year with 54 goals. It happens. The coach still has to have a way to create a level of accountability. In Edmonton, for instance, there's 3 guys. They're just not going to take off the power play. It's going to take a lot. Obviously, it's McDavid, Draisaitl, and Bouchard. After that, they can nibble around the edges if they have to. But I agree, the really good teams, the top power plays, they are morphing down to just 1 unit.
So how do you get a team with a ton of awesome players all on the ice at the same time, more humans on the ice than the other team, and be ineffective? The Leafs have done it. The Oilers did it for a stretch. Last year's Pittsburgh Penguins had 4 Hall of Famers and couldn't score a power play goal. How does that come to be?
There's a lot of things that go into that. Players do get stale, but if you look at those great power plays, the thing or the strength that I always felt Edmonton had is they literally could play their guys in any position, right? They had the ultimate power play, in my opinion, in terms of consistency. And some power plays run hotter and colder than others, but very few are like the Montreal Canadiens when Guy Lafrenière was playing and when he hopped over the boards late in the game, regardless of if they were 0 for 5 at that stage or 4 for 5, you knew they were going to score. The really great power plays have that, not just to score, but the ability to score when it really matters. I consider Edmonton and Toronto at times in that category. So how does it go cold? There is an element of luck. Everybody knows that, particularly the people that really follow in analytics. But other than that, there's so many things that really can nibble on how it's going overall. Some of that is, just a player's competitiveness, his Tiger Woods-esque thoughts about when you get somebody down, you really jump on them and finish them.
Tonight,
so there's a lot to unpack.
Tonight we'll see Sid versus Connor, and no question that you nibble around those guys. There's struggling hockey clubs, respectively, but it's still selective television to watch Sidney Crosby and McDavid. I thought McDavid's answer on who should be the Team Canada captain was perfect.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing he didn't say was, "What are you, an idiot?"
Yeah. Sid.
Yeah, Sid
Yeah.
as the captain. But, is it safe to say when Sid signed a 2-year contract earlier this year that it was knowing full well that there could be issues on ever making the playoffs in the next year or two, and I'm okay with that?
Well, I mean, there's nobody more well-versed on what's going on around them than Sid. So I would find it incomprehensible that he looked at the club and he didn't think that. It's actually a little bit strange if you look at their start, because Malkin has played really well and Sid knows what he's going to do, and yet they've struggled. Goaltending's been a problem. They're not necessarily struggling for me when I look at their team. It's kind of where I expected them to be. Notwithstanding, I didn't see Malkin coming out of the gate like this. So the surprising thing is that they are where they are and they're getting this great performance from him. And it's still not enough to elevate them. Now, they're a game under 500. They by no means are out of it. But as you approach the 10-game mark and you get a chance to see what people have on a nightly basis, you can start to form some pretty strong opinions that'll hold through for the majority of the year. And for me, Pittsburgh is kind of what they are right now. If you're 500 in the NHL, you're almost always between 20th and 24th in the league. And as we know, that's not good enough to be a playoff team.
Right. We're going to kind of bounce around a little bit. One of the pieces of news in the NHL today is Alexis Lafrenière signed a contract, 7 years times $7.5 million roughly. What were your thoughts on that deal?
Not surprised. It's definitely the trend. It's somewhat interesting because Kako has not been able to maybe show the progress that Lafrenière has. They both struggled early on in their careers. Not surprising. They're young players. I think they're both good players, but Alexis been able to prove that we feel good enough, at least we being the New York Rangers, that we're ready to pay this guy some significant money, and we even think there's a chance that we could prevent him from getting away from us in the future. So they make that move where they don't make it with their second overall pick the year before him. So, this is just clubs taking care of business. Chris Drury and his staff, they're asked, like many of the GMs in the league, to make these tough calls. And if you're right and you get enough of them right, and the Rangers have a lot of guys that are playing under market, and they have for quite a while, but now we're starting to see that flip over with a guy like Shesterkin. Panarin's is what Panarin is. They've got Zibanejad done. Chris Kreider is a fair price deal. Now you've got these young studs. You've got Keandre Miller. Obviously, they'll have to figure something out long term. Adam Fox, they have. This is just the life of managing a club and the dynamic of being, like the Rangers, who are, in my opinion, a very good team, but haven't gotten over the hump in the playoffs. These are just all the vagrancies you have to deal with on a weekly, monthly, and yearly basis in managing the club.
Well, that's the first thing I thought of was that this is going to be a bargain for the New York Rangers in a very short period of time. And we've seen a lot of guys, a lot of young players now coming in and signing these types of contract. Quentin Byfield, Seth Jarvis. And I get it, man. They're waving $50, $60 million at you. But maybe Lafrenière in 2 or 3 years is a $10 million player or $12 million player.
Maybe at the end of the season he is.
It's a really, really tough call, and the clubs do a great job of reminding you that it's $50 million. But, I don't – is Hughes – in New Jersey, thinking I jumped the gun too early here?
You should think
with
that.
His.
Yeah, the question is, should he be? And the answer is absolutely not. Kyper, you're a parent. I'm a parent. I have kids around the ages of these players we're talking about. And ultimately, from a psychology standpoint, you never begrudge players for that. They haven't, really rung the bell. So when you give them a chance to make $50 million and they're looking at the grand scheme of their lives, players take it 99% of the time. Jack Hughes at 8.25, he struggled for a couple of years. Again, not uncommon. Jack needed to get a little stronger, a little more mature, understand the league. He very quickly overcame that, but it probably felt like an eternity for the New Jersey Devils when he was going through that. And then he comes along, he gets over the hump. He proves that he's not just able to play. He proves that he's got durability, because that was in question early on with him. And somebody offers him 8 times 8.25, and they jump on it. I often wonder why clubs lose faith in what they're doing, because in the end, you're going to win that battle 99% of the time.
It's just so many years, and you don't play for that many, you know? Like, if this guy is a Hart Trophy guy, guys are getting $14 million now, you know? It's what would Leon get?
14.
Yeah, like how far off Leon's he going to be in 2 minutes? I mean, behind, but
just on that, like, is Kaprizov up in Minnesota this summer? Is he eligible?
He is.
Yes.
He's 27. He scores 50.
He's eligible to sign on July 1st. He has another year left.
Okay.
Year. We'll have to check that, because all the stats I'm quoting you are just by memory. I'm not looking at anything. But I believe Kirill.
Could he make an argument?
July 1st.
Could he make an argument to be in the vicinity of a Leon Draisaitl at 12?
Yeah. I'm certain he will.
He's off to a heck of a start.
He's off to a heck of a start. He's a heck of a player. He's done it since he got here. He started when he was later, but he really does make that team go. These are. I don't envy Billy Guerin for having to, get that one done. And ultimately, if you haven't done your job of accommodating these players and making sure they know how the organization feels about them, you have no chance for guys that are more transient. And what I mean by that is that there are certain individuals, and sometimes we even, stereotype players, that they're, more likely to move. Russian players, in my humble opinion, tend to be in that category. And you hear the same things. They love Florida and they love New York. So do you have to pay a premium to keep them is the question. I don't think you do if you communicate with your players and you treat them the exact opposite of how Nick Kypreos was treated when he was a player.
Kaprizov has this year and next at $9 million.
Yeah. He his
and he's jumping.
Goal and point totals: 47 goals, 40 goals, 46 goals, 108 points, 96 points. Like,
that's a $12 million player.
At least. Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's see what happens with Rantanen. And that's an interesting case right now in Colorado, because he's not signed, and he could have been, right?
He could have been. Is that what you said?
Signed. Yeah, he could have been at the start of the year. He could have been as of July 1st, and he's not re-signed, and conversations have been fairly light there.
What do you think his number? What's fair for him?
I think he's in the category with the players we're talking about right here, between Kaprizov and Draisaitl. I don't know how you would take. The interesting thing about Mikko is that you ask all different groups of people, and some people love analytics. But when I ask coaches about him, and everything really certainly for the fans and the media, everything in Colorado starts and ends with Nathan MacKinnon. You'd be surprised how many coaches say that guy's killed us. He's absolutely annihilated us, and we don't even really do enough prep for him. That's the story for a long time on him. That's changing now as teams are recognizing that's a dynamic duo between those two.
There's some value, Alox, being behind MacKinnon, though, for him, like kind of sneaking under the radar a bit. Like, that could be part of the reason he's doing as well as he is, right? Like, when you have a great hitter ahead of you in the batting order, it helps. Or behind you. Sorry.
Yes. It's always a slippery slope on that, because you have guys that have gone on and proven who they are. I would say Panarin, got a little bit of that label when you had Taves and Kane. Oh, he's playing with great players. He went to Columbus. He still did well. He's in New York. He's doing well. There's always that argument. And believe me, those are the first things you say if you're the GM there. Oh, he's got MacKinnon. He's not really that good. He's really good. Mikko Rantanen is really an elite player.
Last 2 years, 55 goals and 105 points, 42 goals, 104 points, and he's a large human.
Lots.
And he is a large human, exactly.
Thursday night.
Got everything.
Thursday night, we saw the Flames lose their first regulation game, and what a start in a nutshell. And is there enough of a sample size here to say why wouldn't they be able to hang in there and keep Calgary Flame fans interested in a potential playoff spot? Or is it just too early?
For me, it's just too early, and I don't mean that disrespectfully to the Flames. Nobody expected this. I think they've been one of the incredible, bright stories early on. I'm a skeptic, but not because I don't like what they're doing. I think Craig Conroy's doing a great job. I think they are injecting young players much quicker than a lot of other people that have tried to do what they're trying to do right now. And I compliment them on that because they haven't been afraid to make some moves, to let go a star goalie, to let go, a winger where you try to be flat with Tkachuk and you bring in Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar, but those aren't easy deals to do. So they've been through a lot. I think they're in a really good place. Right now, if you gave me even money, I would say they will not make the playoffs, but they will have a much better season than I was thinking they would before it started. No doubt they'll be right there knocking on the door, Kyper, to your comment, and they will keep the fans very interested and start to build a lot of pride in this group because I think they're moving in the right direction. I just don't believe this is what you're going to see at the end of the year when we add it all up in terms of their standing right now.
Yeah. Lots, we do a lot of talking about Canadian teams and where they slot in. Another sort of like fringe playoff-y team for some people, the Ottawa Senators. We're waiting to see if they can take a step and actually get in. It looks like the Bruins might struggle a bit. There's some early signs that there might be room in the Atlantic. They get Ullmark. Is there enough on that Ottawa Senators roster for you to say that, yes, they're ready to go from, they're getting better to actually a playoff team?
Still undetermined for me. Their slow start was a little spooky, but they've turned it around. I'm sure they would tell you it's just a little, a little bump on the way to making it to the playoffs, and that very well could be it. They will compete for a playoff spot much stronger than they have in the past. They could get in. They might not get in. Either way, I think the future is bright for them when you really look at the young players that they have. And Steve Staios is doing a nice job. He's had to navigate some difficult challenges thus far, and I think he's doing that. Ullmark was really a godsend for them. They needed that particular piece. Brady Tkachuk is a real deal. Tim Stützle, he's been a little bit up and down for a guy that has the skill level that he does, that scored as much as he has. People seem to want a little bit more. We could say that about a lot of other great or gifted offensive players. Sometimes it just takes them time to realize that, if I get 80 points and we don't make the playoffs every year, it doesn't really make my life better. Whereas if I get the same or less and we're a dynamic team in the league, then the world looks a lot better for a young player like him. I think Tim's all in. He's a great kid. And I think they got a hell of a good one there. So I'm bullish on Ottawa, but doesn't mean they'll make the playoffs. The East is a beast. A lot of these teams are just hanging around. Washington, they got a little bit of a resurgence. Tampa's had a little bit of resurgence after moving Stamkos, but bringing McDonough back. So it's just too early to make those types of calls now, in my opinion.
Lots, only one team stands as undefeated, and that's the Winnipeg Jets. Tomorrow night on Hockey Night in Canada, they'll go against Calgary. And then Monday, it'll be Toronto, followed by Detroit next Wednesday. Like, how far can this thing go? Can they knock on the door of the Leafs? I think in 93, 94, they went 10-0 to jump out of the gate.
Winnipeg is such an interesting team. We don't give them nearly enough time. You guys in Canada who want to talk about Canadian teams 7 days a week don't give them what they deserve, because they've done it for a while now. And last year, I felt like they were somewhat discounted. So, yeah, you got to tip your cap to Kevin Cheveldayoff. Changing coaches this year, it looked like that could be something that, created a downturn. It hasn't happened. They've got a good group of players. They've got a great goaltender. They've been through a complete evolution for me in the last 4 or 5 years, and I think it's been really fun to watch. Their scouting continues to just really be good, and they've shown patience. Some of that at times I thought was just a necessity as a smaller market where they're forced to go that path. Mark Chipman has been steadfast on their plans as a president of the club, and they're really being rewarded. I thought they were in trouble at the start of last year as an organization. Maybe they weathered that storm. They got their key players signed. The market responded with their good play, and I think they're in a really good spot right now, and I think they have a lot to be proud of.
Lots. We really appreciate your time. God, I wish we could trade places right now because I'm looking at your background right now. And
Friday happy hour in New York City. I bet he could go down that elevator and have a pretty good time. Just a guess.
I did move recently in New York City. I don't live here all the time, but I moved to a new apartment. I do like the view.
Attaboy. We do as well on your Zoom
we
call.
do too.
Thanks for doing this, pal.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me on. Great to see you. Look forward to doing it again sometime in the future if you decide to have me back.
We'd love to, Lots. Thanks,
That
buddy.
is Brian Lawton, NHL player agent, general manager,
And real
First
estate
pick.
tycoon.
first place overall, or
Hey.
first pick overall.
Let's talk about that house.
$30 million apartment.
Yeah, what is that view?
my
Good Lord.
Yeah.
I just live here sometimes. Oh, do you?
I think he's done well.
He's doing okay? Good to
doing
hear.
okay.
Glad to hear that.
Hey, Lots, you still on the line? Got some money, buddy?
What do you want? Game time, or you want to go to
Yeah,
bed?
we'll do game time. Let
Let me guess.
Uh-oh.
World Series.
Hold on.
All right.
It's game time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app, play the odds to find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. And Kyper, you were right.
Let's
The
go.
World Series tonight gets underway. The New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Far cry from the Texas Rangers versus the Arizona Diamondbacks last year. Really, really, really exciting to have these two
Is
teams.
this like not quite Dallas Stars, Edmonton Oilers?
No,
conference
this is
final?
like, this is, I
This
don't know.
is the
Large
cherry,
markets.
The cherry on.
What's the equivalent? What's the equivalent of that in the NHL? Of
I mean, it's got to
Dodgers,
be just
Yankees,
New York, LA, doesn't it still? Or is
No.
it Chicago, Boston, or something?
Chicago, Boston, probably.
They
Like,
don't want a Canadian team in there. I know that.
like in the NFL, this would be like getting the Steelers and the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. Like this is as good as it gets for them. So the Yankees are a underdog tonight, plus 110. LA Dodgers minus 130. It's been a long time since the Yankees have won a World Series. The Dodgers and Yankees have a lot of history in the World Series. I think the Yankees have beat them a lot. Mr. October, or is it Reggie Williams that had the 3 home run game against the Dodgers?
Reggie Jackson?
What did I say? Reggie Jackson? I said Reggie Williams. Whoops, I meant to say Reggie Jackson. Sorry, guys. I'm young.
That's okay.
I'm a young man.
I know. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
I'm a young man.
He had a chocolate bar named after.
Is that right?
Yeah, but no, Mr. October, 3 home runs against the Dodgers. Anyways, so I think the Yankees are going to win, and I don't want them to, but I don't really want the Dodgers to win either because of Shohei. I just kind of wish they'd cancel it. If I'm being totally honest, I would want no outcome.
Everyone lay down your arms.
Yeah.
Form a truce.
The worldwide ratings on this is going to be off the charts.
Yeah, it's going to be massive. It's one of the biggest.
What was the joke you made or someone about the Cowboys? Whoever loses is.
Oh yeah. Whatever. This is going to be a tough one for Cowboys fans to decide who to cheer for in the World Series.
I like that.
Tonight, Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid going head to head, boys. It's exciting. Future teammates at the Four Nations face-off. The captain and probably the assistant captain going to head. Both these guys like to rise to the occasion. Both of them will be inspired. Give me Sidney Crosby 2 points and Connor McDavid 2 points for plus 450. And the last one I have is the Ottawa Senators against the Vegas Golden Knights. Still up in the air if Linus Ullmark's going to play. He's going to talk to Dr. Seasonoff to see if he can get into the lineup tonight.
Yeah.
But guys, Senators maybe decent.
Sennies.
You can score. So give me the value plus 120 on the Ottawa Senators visiting the Vegas Golden Knights at one of the best arenas in the world. Going there for a game. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Friday night, the Sens fans will be down there. They'll be greased up. They'll be having a great time. Sens win tonight.
Love
there
it.
you go.
Love it, Sammy.
Yeah. I got some text too.
All right. Speaking of Ulmer and goaltenders who.
By the way, that was game time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app, play the odds to find out why it's ever ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Line.
Sorry,
forgot to do that.
All good.
Speaking of goaltenders who just need to feel just right, Vladar was in net for Calgary last night, and I don't know if you watched what happened to him, but he wasn't feeling too well towards the latter part of the game, and he broke down a little bit with some cramping. So I've got his comments after the break. We'll have a listen to where the goalie mentality is. And I kind of clipped this probably more for Steve Valiquette than anybody else.
Everyone's got to be perfect.
But let's have a listen to Vladar's comments on cramping when we return after the break on Real Kyper and Bourne. This hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365. As we close out this week, Nick Kypreos and just Sammy McKee as we let Justin Bourne
That's a great visual.
take the rest of the afternoon off as he gets ready for a Halloween party with his kid.
Yeah, he's gotta go. I think his wife's away this weekend. He's a good dad. He's a family man.
Is he the dad that will put on a costume tonight too?
I don't think. He doesn't strike me as a costume guy. You're a costume guy.
I was as a kid, yes, but not as a dad.
Well, no, but like you like wearing a costume. I remember, when I used to listen to you.
Oh yeah.
When I was a younger man,
Yes.
and I used to like listen to you on Hockey Central and all that stuff. I mean, I remember Kiss. Remember you guys dressing up as Kiss? I remember you guys dressing up as Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. We did Wizard of Oz. We had David Amber as a scarecrow.
Yeah. So, I mean, Thursday coming up this week, this has been a point of contention actually with our show, is that you have alluded to the fact
I know
that you would like to dress up. And then
I'm over it now.
But then Barney, our beloved coworker Barney, if you could show him again on camera, our beloved coworker Barney.
Hey.
Wait, he got to dress up this year, Barney.
He's going as a skeleton. Look how thin he is.
Oh, my God. Oh, that's funny.
All right. So before the break, I was mentioning Vladar, who had a good night. I think he had 39 saves. But I found it really interesting to hear him talk about cramping up last night.
Yeah, this is one for Valley. So you want to play that clip for us, Derek, and then we can talk about it after.
I mean, the first 25 minutes I didn't stop, so I was really tired. I skated a lot last couple of days, so tomorrow when I'm going to talk to goalie coach, I'll let him know that it was too much last couple of days because I was really tired. I was cramping up at the end, so that's it. Yeah.
Nothing beyond cramping?
Oh, no, just cramping up.
Last couple of days, too much. I'm tired.
I love that. And that's classic.
But we just started the season.
Yeah, but I mean,
he's tired.
Well, he's
too much the last couple of days.
Yeah, he's skating him like a dog.
Too much.
Too much.
Can you imagine? I could never imagine anybody in my era going up to a coach and saying, "We got to talk tomorrow because it's too much."
Well, I actually like it. That's classic. Those like European guys are very dry and they'll just say what's like on their mind. Like think of what Ilya Samsonov used to say in this market, whatever he would be on his mind. He's tired. He's honest. Like, I mean, if they want to continue, they need him to play well. But the thing is, he's the backup, right? Because Wolf's the starter, so he hasn't played at all. Just he's tired.
Just a different world.
He's too tired.
Out there.
He's too tired. It's hilarious. Did you want to do some text? I got a bunch. You have something else you want to do right now?
Anywhere else you want to go?
Well, did you see this with the Penguins and Jari?
Where is he?
They sent, so this is from the Sportsnet website. Penguins send struggling goalie Tristan Jari back to Pittsburgh for individual work. Does this remind you of anything?
Who sent who?
The Pittsburgh
Penguins. No, I know that, but what's it reminding me of? I don't know.
Last year with the Leafs and Samsonov, where he was sent to the minors, but it was not the minors.
To work.
They just sent him to the gulag.
There you go. Seems like a million years ago for me, but this is Kyle Dubas.
Yeah. So Jari is 1-1 in 3 games for the Penguins with a .547 goals against average and an .836 save percentage. He's a 2-time All-Star.
They gave him $5 million times 5, did they not?
I think that was the contract.
A few years ago?
Yeah. That was like the first, when Dubas signed there, that was the first contract that he gave out, I think, was Tristan Jari. Which,
I know I think we've talked about this, but Goaltenders are the only position where if you lose faith in that guy, you cannot win.
Yeah.
I can lose a little confidence in a number one centerman. A number one defenseman can struggle. There's still enough juice in the room that you think that you could still win or overcome it with one or two struggles to key guys, but not that guy.
Yeah. And like I said, I read you with the numbers. He is in a year 2 of 5 with a $5.375 million cap hit per year.
Buddy, that's just crazy.
That's crazy. Like, he is a 2-time All-Star, like I said, so maybe they hope they can send him.
Okay.
I mean, you don't care about that, but he's been good. He's had good seasons.
You can't throw out 2-time All-Star
With the All-Star game.
when you're begging players to go to it, and people are finding excuses to not want to go.
This is
and
fair.
you have to pick somebody from a team, and so it's you because that's the open position. It doesn't mean anything when you say he was an NHL All-Star.
Well, I'm just looking at his numbers.
End of the year All-Star, right? Voted All-Stars at the end of the year. That's an All-Star.
Like first team guys.
Playing in the game
you're right.
is not All-Star anymore.
So
he's a showcase guy. Can we just refer to them as a showcase guy?
But like in 1920 and 2021, he played 33 games. He had a 921. He had a 909 and
well, there's something there that
58
led
games,
to $5 million.
Yeah, he had a 919 and 58 games. Like, there's something there. This is why goaltending keeps people up at night. Like, is there a more unpredictable position in sports? Like, it's goalies and it's relief pitchers. Like, I don't. What else? It's
a crapshoot.
You just hold on for dear life. Like, you hope you got one. Like, look what the Leafs have gotten from Stolars, who was a career backup, and he's been there, Valaketzi's been the best goalie through 6 games.
Yeah. And then it's like, is it Cinderella? Is it midnight?
I don't know.
Pumpkin time?
It is Halloween. It's Halloween. I don't know, man. Goaltending keeps me up at night. I don't love goaltending.
Yeah. Right. We mentioned earlier about Sid and Connor.
Yeah.
Rolling out the red carpet for him as the captain.
Love that.
I know we didn't get into it with Lawton, but you have 4 nations. Doesn't matter.
It does matter.
Yes, I agree.
To be selected to that team matters more than the actual tournament.
It's just, and it's the link to the Olympics. And I covered the 2016 World Cup. Hated it.
I know you did.
Hated it.
I know. But it was, listen.
It was entertaining.
All the best players in the world were together, yeah.
It was...
Yeah.
Connor and
Matthews
our
played in the
first
same
look
line,
at Austin Matthews before he ever played for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So there was some entertainment value there. But to have gone back there and know that Connor McDavid still hasn't played in an Olympic and we didn't know when he ever would be.
It's crazy.
It made that tournament just feel like it's meaningless. This leads to an Olympic. This is about what's the team going to look like, who's pushing now. If you didn't have the Olympics in a few years, this one would be looked upon as the same as gimmicky as 2016. Yeah. But this is the lead. I want to see what they envision an Olympic team looking like, because that's the one that they're going to go with on this one. That's why it matters.
Yep. I completely what do you think of Binnington last night? Looked like a starting goalie for Canada?
I liked his game.
Me too.
But I liked St. Louis's whole game.
Yeah, they played awesome.
They played big.
Inspired
they played
hockey.
Fast.
Yeah.
And there's no stars on that team.
No. Binnington, he's got that edge to him. And, people, like, they were talking about it, Montembeault and, Aiden Hill. I know Aiden Hill. I have more confidence in Aiden Hill and Binnington than I would in Montembeault. Both those guys have played in huge games. They've both won the Cup. At least they have the experience in high-stress games. I don't know. But I think it does. It's going to be interesting to see what people think of it when it comes here, but I think it does matter. So did you want me to give you some text?
Well, we've pumped it up like crazy. Like, see, now that JB's not here, you look so far away from me.
It's, what it's like? It's like when you're in an Uber, you're in the back seat, or you're in your friend's car, and there's somebody in the front seat, and then you're in the back, and then you just stay in the back. That's what it feels like right now.
I feel like Johnny Carson right now. You're my Ed McMahon.
Well, but you see on TV, as you look over here, it doesn't look that weird. It just looks like we're sitting at the same table.
Know.
Anyways.
Do you know who Ed McMahon is, by the way?
I do. I do. I don't know who Reggie Williams is, but I know who Reggie.
Can you say, "You are correct, sir"?
You are correct, sir.
Can you?
Anything else?
Can you give away $10 million? I think he used to do that.
I would take $10 million. Do you think that Knobloch has a chance of getting fired early in this season like Woodcroft? And if he does, that's McDavid's 6th coach that he's got fired, and his 7th coach.
Not a snowball's chance.
I agree
that this is happening.
Okay.
But I'm sure he feels like Jay Woodcroft felt.
How could you not?
When you started and then led to your demise.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that he's trying to show at least he's not happy with the power play. And at the end, it's probably just going to end up being the way it is still. And it's not going to be that bad. Like, one's going to bounce off of Zach Hyman's ass.
And then they're all going to start
soon,
going in.
and everything will kind of fall into its place. But there's a big demand on this team, not just getting to a final, but winning the Stanley Cup. And maybe they just got ahead of themselves a little bit and let the dust settle after the first 10 games.
But I think it does show a bit of desperation that you're even considering doing that, and that a coach is probably feeling it a little bit, right? And
no doubt.
It's, just to stick on the Oilers and the relevant to the conversation we had in our lease hour.
Did not help, again, last night watching Broberg.
That's what I'm saying.
Come out of the gate and score the first goal against the Leafs and looking every bit of a guy who in a few years could be a number 1 or 2 defenseman.
It wasn't just the goal he scored. Like, he set up somebody in the slot where he comes way down below the net. Beautiful pass out in front on the play that Riley high-sticked the goalie on. I loved his game. I thought Holloway looked good. Even that Ryan McLeod that they traded, he's off to a good start. I think he's got 4 or 5 goals to start the year. He's fast. He's young. Like, I think the 2 things can be true situation with them letting Broberg go maybe was the right call, considering they have to pay McDavid, they have to pay Bouchard, they have to pay Draisaitl.
I would have trimmed
you would have kept him
outside of worrying about those guys.
So you would have kept Broberg?
You cannot give up on a 23-year-old who is a top 10. And again, talking to a scout the other day, saying that they saw him at the Halinka way back when, and it wasn't even close about who was the best defenseman in that tournament, and had Pronger-like looks. Not from a standpoint that he's ever going to step on anyone's head like Chris.
He's never going to be that mean.
He's not going to be that mean. No. But as far as coverage and reach and all of it, he had that presence.
He's huge. He's 6'4". He's 220-pound guy. Like, he can fire it, skate.
And now he's loaded with confidence.
Yeah. Somebody paid me. They want me here. I'm in a less of a buzzsaw in terms of a market where I can just play my game. Like, God, Doug Armstrong's pretty good at this.
Lafrenière in New York, slow start to his career.
Yep.
Quentin Byfield, slow start to his career. Those guys are now $50, $60 million players.
I see today that Matt Rempe has been sent down to the AHL. I like that move. Give the kid a chance to play. Needs to play and not fight everyone in the NHL like a sideshow act. Thumbs up for me. What do you think?
I like him in terms of what he's shown and brought. I love the element of him, but sometimes things can get a little ahead of you as well.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that they've pushed him a lot. Oftentimes, he's the most popular guy off the ice. There's lineups for his autograph. There's a bit of a cult following here. Kind of mess with you a little bit early. Let him go to the minors. Let him go play some games, get some reps, and keep developing. He's got to keep working on his game, so he can be an everyday player.
It's just, we may look back on that Rempe thing. Remember the Jeremy Lin Sanity?
Yeah.
Where he comes in and he's just outstanding for the Knicks for, I don't know even how long that was. He turned it into a huge contract with the Rockets, but like an unexpected guy that just took over a sport for however long.
Yeah.
It was a madhouse last year when he came here. It was like at the peak of it. And much like with Jeremy Lin when he came to Toronto, he hit a game winner against him. Like it was a very, very crazy situation. So he's down in the minors now. Are Jake Sanderson and Brady Tkachuk serious contenders for Team USA at the Four Nations Cup? Well, I'll say that Tkachuk is not a serious contender. He's on the team. Jake Sanderson.
Yeah, I'd have to kind of revisit when you think of McAvoy, Fox. When you think of
here, I'll give you
there's 5 or 6 that are pretty much locks.
So here's where I just went on NHL.com, pulled up a quick projected roster for their decor. Looking here right now, they have Fox, Quinn Hughes, Charlie McAvoy, K'Andre Miller.
No.
Jacob Slavin.
No. Jake Sanderson.
Better than Miller. Agreed.
Miller.
Yeah.
Miller's, I get big and strong and can look really good sometimes, but
Faber?
Not consistent enough.
They have Brock Faber listed here.
Brock's right there as well. And I'd probably have Brock ahead of Jake.
Zach Werenski?
Looked pretty good against the Leafs.
God, that's like in their forward they have listed here. Caulfield, Connor, Eichel, Gensel, Hughes, Keller, Larkin, Matthews, Miller, Robertson, Tkachuk, Trocheck. Not a bad squad, Kippy.
You're nervous about that squad.
Listen,
Canada always finds a way to beat them.
We're still Canada, and like I rest my head on the pillow thinking we still have Connor McDavid, we still have Nathan McKinnon, we still have Sidney Crosby, we still have Cale Makar. But, you know, I don't know if we talked about this on air or not, or it was off air, but USA's coming here big time. They're coming big time.
Sam, play the percentages.
I know.
Okay.
Why did they have to start playing hockey in Arizona and St. Louis? And
300 million people, 30 million.
I know.
35 million people.
And they're playing in all these non-traditional markets, right? Like Arizona, it's produced Matthews. Nye's played there. Like St. Louis is producing all these guys. Everywhere. California is producing these guys. You know what's going to
shoot out of a cannon, too, is that USHL.
Yeah, 100%.
It's they can have those teams. There could be 60, 100 USHL teams in 10, 15 years. Mm-hmm. And you just regionalize it. You watch, the USHL is going to play for the Memorial Cup.
You think?
Well. Oh, yeah, it's coming.
I actually like that.
It's coming.
I wouldn't mind that at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes right now and it's led by the NCAA opening up their athletes getting paid, but
quickly
it's gonna look much different in a very short period of time.
I just pulled up this. I'm just interested in this. I just pulled up the projected D-man on NHL.com here for Canada. Evan Bouchard.
Average in defending.
Noah Dobson, Drew Doughty, Cale Makar, Josh Morrissey, Owen Power, Devon Taves. It's not what it once was, Kippy. The forwards are, though. The forwards are.
McGinnis, Coffey.
Well, I mean, think about the 2010 teams. Think about the 2010 team, that blue line. Duncan Keith, Scott Niedermayer, Pronger, Shea Weber, Drew Doughty as a rookie. Like, that was a stacked decor. It's just not what it once was, but the forwards are pretty good. So, let's see if I got a quick one here before we go. Show the Jets some love, you slackers.
We did.
I know. We don't show them enough love. They're on fire. They're unbelievable.
I know. Okay, let's get somebody on from Winnipeg.
Yeah, well, we're going to do it on Monday because they're playing the Leafs. So we'll get somebody in the Leafs hour.
And
we'll track down Sean.
I'm going to do a Big Brother program with you tomorrow. I'm taking you to golf.
Oh, you're teaching me how to play. I can't wait.
Looking forward to it?
I really can't wait to play. I love fall golf. Bundle up a little bit. The sun will be shining.
Listen, for the record, every hole I'm playing, my ball's going under the leaves, and I get a free lift.
Love it. That's my favorite part of.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great weekend. Real Kyper and Bourne returns on Monday.